she's found that Facebook and Twitter aren't really great places to have serious or controversial discussions. Maybe you've had this experience. So, luckily, a friend of hers told her about a new site called FiskIt. So Sarah takes the Jenny McCarthy article, she goes to FiskIt, and she signs in right away, one click, with Facebook. She sees a bunch of articles here, but she wants to talk about the Jenny McCarthy article. So she goes up and she puts in the link, hits the button, and she immediately gets dropped into somebody talking about this article. And she takes a look and sees what's going on here. It's comments on individual sentences within the article. Now, in the blogging world, this is what's called fisking an article. It means going through an article line by line, rebutting it, citing sources, getting really deep in on the facts. Now, Sarah really wants to put in her own thoughts, so she goes up and clicks the big red FiskIt Now button. She gets a clean version of the article. Now, there are 3 sentences of this article that Sarah really wants to talk about. She clicks on the first one. She sees what she has here is a place to comment on this particular sentence, but she also has this palette of tags here that she can use to describe the sentence for whether it's true or false, whether it contains really common logical fallacies like cherry-picking the evidence or a straw man argument. She can describe the sentence as unsupported or having biased wording, which is pretty common on the internet. She can also give it credit and say, hey, this is funny, well-researched. Now, this particular sentence, Jenny McCarthy is saying, hey, I'm not just doing this for myself, I'm doing it for my family. And Sarah says, look, I read a whole Daily Beast article that dispels that. So she puts in the link, and she describes the sentence as unsupported and biased wording, because Jenny McCarthy's cloaking herself in motherhood. She goes to the next sentence. The next sentence, Jenny McCarthy is saying, hey, people out there on the internet are being inaccurate about my position. And Sarah's done her homework. She says, you know what, that's true. She clicks on the true, and she gives Jenny McCarthy some credit there. She skips down to the bottom of the article, where Jenny McCarthy's saying, hey, people say I'm against all vaccines. And here Sarah puts her foot down. She says, no, that's not what people say. They say that you're interposing your judgment for that of medical professionals and encouraging other people to do the same. You're putting kids at risk. So Sarah puts that into her comment, and she says, you know what, Jenny McCarthy, you're mischaracterizing the argument against you. That's a classic straw man argument. It's very common. We see it in op-eds in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and now Sarah has a way to actually call it out. She clicks on the link and goes up, because now Sarah said everything she wants to say about this article, but she wants to talk to her friends about it. She wants to know what they think. So she shares it to Facebook and says, hey guys, let me know what you think about this article. Now her friends can see that, click that link, and come back to back to FiskIt, to have a place to talk about something they wouldn't be comfortable talking about on somebody's Facebook wall. So her friends have come in and they've given their thoughts on this article. And so, as Jason would say, imagine a world where you have all of these intelligent people focusing in on this one article. What could you do with them? Well, now something very cool happens. Sarah's able to go up to the top and click the Insight button. And now she clicks the Insight button and she's able to see the distribution of all the tags on this news article, as well as the most common tags. Now she scrolls down, and now she sees the article again, but this time she sees only those tags where an unusual number of people have all put the exact same tag on the exact same sentence. And what you're looking at is an objective, statistically valid description of this news article. What we've seen is we've crowdsourced a fact-checking of this news article, of any news article, of every news article. And that's the promise of FiskIt. FiskIt is building a forum to talk about news that matters, that favors facts, logic, and civility. FiskIt's live today. Thank you.
Okay, how does this not become an endless flame war?
Thank you very much. That is a great question. So a lot of you guys know that comment sections are coming down throughout the internet, right, because of trolls and flaming. So what we're building right now, we're designing it, and this will be our next major release. Currently, there's no commenting on comments in FiskIt. It's, here's what I think about this article. The next phase will be recursive fisking. So somebody gets up and they comment on an article and they're a jackass because people. Then you can go in and do this same process to commenters. What we now have is conversation discourse in structured data. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to give people a new tag called ad hominem attack. We're going to give them profanity. We will have that in data. And at the very top of the whole discussion, we'll have a troll filter. Just pull it down.
I think that
disappears.
That's a great top level, but then there's actually real camps with real disagreements here who will not troll, will not have ad hominem attacks.
That's good.
I guess, but I'm wondering, I think I agree with you that it's good, but then is there any value? If I'm just going to see the same arguments from the same camps and then why do I go to FiskIt?
So there's enormous possibilities once you have the discourse in structured data. One of the things we can do, if you pull in political affiliation, you can look at the results page and you can give people one button. You say, this is a super polarized issue, Democrats, Republicans going at it. Well, if you've got stuff in data, you can give them one button, independence. Strip out the Democrats, strip out the Republicans, rerun the statistical test of significance, and see just what the independents like. So once you have this information, what's
Great answer.
discourse?
Another question.
Good.
I feel like there's an inverse correlation between people who are thoughtful enough to actually add insight and people who have the time to do this. How do you deal with that?
So one of the tricks is if you get a lot of people, nobody likes to be lied to, right? So if you get enough people to actually go through, they can detect, actually in large numbers, they can detect a lot of these flaws. And that's what we're really using. So you don't need a lot of expertise, and we aren't trying to get the guys who are just flaming each other in the Yahoo comment section. Another question.
Tell me how you solve the spam problem.
Spam problem. So you guys might have noticed we require a real name to log in. So we're going to have durable accounts, and we're going to be running mathematical simulations on the back, or tests on the back to make sure that you're not getting spam bots in there messing up the system. So it's real name only.
I'd be investing in this, by the way. This is awesome.
So I'd be thinking through just how to work with publishers on this, because currently it's super publisher unfriendly. You're siphoning the content off, you're using their content to build a business, sending the traffic to Facebook and then back to you. I'd be thinking about how you deploy this through the publishers.
We've talked to the publishers, and actually they're very excited about this idea of growing the pie of engagement.
Brings engagement back to the site.
Yeah.
So as a news junkie, I love the idea of crowdsourced fact checking, especially with structured data. I don't quite get yet how this is a good business. It's very cool, but
Yeah.
you didn't really cover how this becomes a great business.
Right, we didn't do it. We have a short and a long-term kind of plan there. The short term is because it's real name only, we're going to go engage advocacy groups and brands. So we've already talked to Swords to Plowshares, which is a veterans group in the city, ACOR, which is an energy advocacy group, to bring brands on and let them Fisk articles under their brand. So the Sierra Club, they do a Fisking of a Wall Street Journal article on an exploding oil train. People trust that, they send it around, and it's very powerful for the Sierra Club or other brands to actually disseminate the information, bring their expertise, and get a lot of benefit out of it. That's the short term.
Okay, let's hear it for FiskIt. Well done. Okay, Mark,